Hi, everyone. My name is Lori Boone. Thank you for joining our OGCA SafetyPass SkillsPass webinar today. I'd like to introduce David Frame. He will be walking us, introducing the webinar and the information about it.
Thanks, Lori, and welcome to OGCA. When we did this before, you were far away, but we're here in Toronto and giving everybody this presentation. I'd like to welcome everybody to the presentation. This is a great product, and it's a great platform as well, so we're going to spend a little time talking to you about it. I'm going to lead off. I'm going to talk to you just for a brief while about why the SafetyPass, why the need for it, and how you might consider it. And between us, Lori and I are going to talk a little bit about the features of SafetyPass, and then she's going to get into much more detail on using the SafetyPass. And then there'll be some time for questions at the end, right, Lori? Mm-hmm. Okay. So up to next slide.
Do you see your presentation?
No, I don't.
The joys of technical difficulties. 1 second.
We're on the slide that says OH&S environment.
Okay. I'm glad I actually can see your screen because that is not what's showing on mine. Let me just see this. Everyone is really enjoying my my emails, I'm sure. Okay. Interesting.
Actually, Lori, can you hear me? It's Catherine.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. David and Lori, if you don't mind, why don't I, while you sort out your slides, David, do you want me to just talk about SkillsPass for a second?
Let me get into the presentation. I'll start speaking to it, and I'm sure the slides will come up in a minute.
Perfect.
I don't know if it won't.
Yeah. So I want to introduce you to why SkillsPass and why now. We all know the construction industry is a high hazard industry. We're always having conversations about what we can do to help our workers, what sort of training, what sort of orientation is needed. As you all know, the law states that construction workers have to receive occupational health and safety awareness training. And the industry's had a lot of conversations about this. Now, a number of years ago, the Tony Dean report, that was about 8 years ago, suggested that the construction industry needed an orientation program that would be taken by all of the workers, or at least all of the new workers coming into the industry. And the industry supported that proposal. Now, that was a few years ago. We haven't got to the point where the government has mandated that yet. We've had conversations with them at it. But there's still the need. There's still the need for that level of information to be out there. And so a number of members came to us about a year ago and said, look, we provide health and safety orientation to our members that is fairly generic to the industry, and then we provide site-specific information. So can we do something to provide that generic awareness program that we're using right now, but it could be better, and that could be made available to others that don't have the benefit of this type of program to increase health and safety? So we met with our members and agreed that there was an opportunity to do this. So next slide. Okay. The one that says the Ontario Solution SafetyPass.
This one?
No, a couple more. One more. That's it.
This one?
No, next one. Sorry.
Previous? This one?
No, let's go one more. We're really skipping through this presentation, folks. It'll say Ontario Solution. That's it. That's it. So the OGCA, with a number of leaders in our industry, mostly from general contractors, but also with IHSA, sat down starting about a year ago to develop a generic health and safety orientation awareness program for construction. And the focus on this was there are hazards that are common throughout the industry that we need to provide hazard awareness orientation work for. And so we built what became the SafetyPass, and the features of it are a one-stop construction health and safety orientation that is consistent and transferable. So the main key for this is you could go to contractor A, get their orientation training, and 3 months later get a similar orientation from contractor B. Now, you weren't learning any new material in this, you were getting the basic information. So the principle is to have one program that a worker could take and hold that certification for a number of years before they had to recertify it. Now, this gets rid of duplication. It also sets up other requirements. SafetyPass is not the be-all and end-all of training. It's the beginning. It's not the end. So a lot of workers in the construction industry, for instance, need working at heights. Working at heights is one of the modules, but it introduces you to working at heights and tells you what's important and tells you what the law is for working at heights, so that if you are working at heights, you can take that training and be in compliance. WMIS is another one that we have. You become aware of WMIS and your need to take WMIS training. So it's related to that. It provides you with that base level of knowledge. The important one you have to remember too is now contractors have more time to focus on site-specific training. So you come onto a site with SkillsPass, then the orientation is about that site, about the unique hazards on that site, and about the procedures that contractor has put in place to keep you safe. So it allows more time for them to be able to do that. So we're hoping the industry picks this up. A number of members of our committee are already being implemented inside of their companies, and our focus right now is working with general contractors and large subcontractors to get them to use it internally and eventually require SafetyPass in order to come on site. Can we go to the next slide, please, Laurie?
Mm-hmm.
No. Yeah.
Perfect.
So in a couple of minutes, I'm going to pass you over to Laurie, who's going to talk to you about the platform. So the beauty of SafetyPass is two things. It's the content, but it's also the platform. The platform that you take it on, that delivers it and tracks it, is unique from what we've experienced, and it's one of the strengths of the whole program. But the platform that we've developed contains 13 modules and quizzes that can be completed at the user's pace. So you're going to do each of these 13 units, and at the end of the unit, there'll be quizzes. You cannot go on to the next one until you have shown that you understand what is in the material by answering those quizzes properly. In other words, you need a 100% mark to do it. It's not that difficult, folks, but we need to know you've been paying attention and that you understand the material. Once completed, a digital and printable certificate will be issued through the SkillsPass system and online safety credit management platform, and you'll be able to be tracked online through that as well, and Laurie's going to talk a little bit about that. On average, this is about a 2-hour commitment. For some who are very knowledgeable, they can do it a little faster. For some of this material is new, it might take them a little longer, but on average, it's going to be about 2 hours. And we require a refresher after 3 years. So that's a quick overview of SafetyPass and the contents that are there. We've got more material on it, a little more detail on what the contents is if you're looking for it, and we can answer those in the Q&A. But I'm going to pass you over to Laurie, who's going to talk to you a little more about the platform and accessing and using SafetyPass.
Excellent. I'm actually going to pass to Catherine,
oh, okay.
who will do an introduction for SkillsPass, and then we'll move on to the demo portion of the presentation. Catherine, if you'd like to take it from here.
Certainly. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. And David, thank you for kicking this off. This is very exciting. We're calling in from St. John's, Newfoundland. So we've been very excited about this partnership with the OGCA and really supporting the move of really taking the SafetyPass out to you folks. So, we're the enabler. They're really driving this great content that's hopefully going to help reduce that time and unnecessary retraining across the industry. And as Lori, and I'll just be a few minutes, and then Lori's going to show you the real fun stuff, the how do you actually log onto the system and get your team actually taking SafetyPass. And just as you go through, we want you to know a couple things about SkillsPass itself. So SkillsPass is going to be, for many of you, your first introduction, the SafetyPass will be your first introduction to SkillsPass, and we are totally aware that these brand names are very similar, so forgive us for that. But what we want to be able to do is for you guys to understand, if you're a larger contractor and do your own in-house training, you're also going to be able to, as an option, use SkillsPass to track that training internally. There's a free LMS model that's available. The business model for us is $5 a pop. We track training across all of Newfoundland and Labrador, and we're growing very rapidly in Ontario. We're creating really the first central database of safety training records, and that needs to be accessible by folks like you. So when you're letting workers on site, do they have the training they need? Today we understand, from having spoken with many of you and training providers, that tracking that via wallet cards is very, very difficult. So we're trying to solve those problems by tracking the training for you. If you have training in-house, we should definitely have a separate conversation about tracking that training. And then as the network grows, you're going to be able to actually see the training from your subs as well. Because we understand from having a lot of conversations so far that you may have a way to actually track the training for your employees, but how do you see that training for your subs today? I'm sure it's probably quite heavy in administrative time. You've probably heard every excuse in the book, my wallet card's in my other truck, and my wife washed it in my other jeans, and, I'm hoping you're all nodding right now. But what we want to do is help eliminate that administrative burden. So and helping us identify where the training comes from for your workers, whether they're your employees or workers in your subs, that we actually go to the source of training. So we can have separate conversations after this, but want to make sure that as Lori takes you through the actual demo of SkillsPass, you can say, great, this is how I'm going to use SkillsPass for SafetyPass to get my team actually having their SafetyPass certificate. And that's just the beginning. We want all of their safety training certificates tracked in SkillsPass going forward. So please feel free to reach out afterwards and ask us about how that might look for your company. And now I'll pass this back to Lori, and she can show you some of the fun stuff.
Excellent. Thank you, Catherine, and thank you, David. Okay, so I've got my screen shared, and I have up on the screen the OGCA landing page. This is a page specifically for OGCA. There are some specific company pages. If someone in your organization has arranged for a company-specific landing page, they will communicate that to you directly. However, everyone who doesn't have that information, you would use the default OGCA page. So just to bring you through the landing page, I'm not going to personally log in today simply because I actually have currently about 4 accounts, and there's really no need for me to create additional ones. However, I will bring you through the page and explain why we need these pieces of information. So this SafetyPass is an online program. Therefore, we do the registration using an email address. If you do not, or your members do not have email addresses, I do not work for Google, but I will promote their product. Everyone can get a Gmail account. They are free, they are awesome, and they can be used for many, many things. So I would suggest that for anyone who doesn't currently have an email address. We take the first name and last name of the user and then a password. We also ask for the date of birth and address information for the user. This information is not shared with anyone outside of Blue Drop SkillsPass. OGCA themselves actually do not even get this information. We use this information to identify users in the future in the circumstance where they've lost their account, they've lost their information. This is a way for us as the owners of the system to identify them. We have done much investigation on these pieces of data, and we have found that a combination of address and birth allow us to accurately identify who is who. So we do not sell this information, we do not share this information, we are not invading anyone's privacy by taking this information. So I just really want to be clear on that because I have heard those questions once or twice. A million times, actually. So just scrolling down, then we have these two sections, current employer and anyone that you want to share your credentials with. These pieces of information are what's actually going to allow the companies that you work with or for or own to link you all together so that the administrator of that company can then see your information and see your information from a SafetyPass perspective and see when you have completed the program. This is what gives them line of sight to your completion information. And then you simply click on the terms and conditions and register your account. I'm just checking my notes. Yep. Okay. So once you have completed your registration, we will generate an email to the email used to create the account, which will require you to click on the link provided in order to confirm your account. This is very important because we want to ensure that the person using the account is the person confirming the account. Again, these are regulations that are defined in the anti-spam laws, in email usage laws. So that is why we went through with that configuration. If there's any questions, you can just type them in the chat box. I won't answer them as we go, only because I get easily distracted, but I will circle back at the end of the session. Okay. Now I'm going to show you the user portal. I am going to switch over to the user portal. This is where people are directed when they log in from the landing page. The user portal shows at the top, this is a QR code that is generated for every user. I really wish I wasn't so technically challenged today. I could show if you actually just download a QR code reader on your mobile device, you can actually do a test yourself, and you can scan this QR code, and it'll bring up your training history, the training history of the user's QR code. This is will be updated within the upcoming weeks to allow this to actually be printed, and then a person can go to the work site with this in their back pocket and then be able to scan that and see that they've completed the SafetyPass information. So I'm just going to show less on this page and then move over to the My Programs. When you're actively taking the SafetyPass program, the SafetyPass program will be in your My Programs section, and you can see it gives the what you're going to do next, and then it also gives you a summary of what the program entails. So there's 14 learning activities, and then gives you a summary down here, which you can select to read more if you would like more information. I'm going to select the Continue button. This will open a new window. I would like to point out that we are going into what we call the Learn Space, my tongue is tangled today, the Learn Space portion of our product. Our product works with pop-ups. We need you to have pop-ups enabled. Please ensure that they are not disabled when you're using our product. Although if you are having technical difficulties, as I have experienced today, we have the question mark in the top right-hand corner, and we have a help section as well as a support section that can be used at any time. My team, which manages the support desk, are amazing, very helpful, very responsive. So anytime that you have any questions, please feel free to click on the support. It gives you a little window where you can type in your issue. It also has an excellent feature right here where you can see attach a screenshot or a file. So you can actually do a screenshot of what you're experiencing, and that'll be sent to the team so that they have more information on what is your particular challenge. I won't use the word issue, Lindsay. Okay, so I'm just going to switch back. You won't need to use that very often because the site is very user-friendly. So you can see that I'm in the Learn Space, as I said. The SafetyPass program is listed at the top, and then we get into the learning activities. So as David mentioned in his introduction, the SafetyPass is 14 modules. They've been configured to be lockstep, and by that, it means that you have to complete the modules in order. You cannot go through them in any order. It's a guided learning. And then if you want to see if there's any question about what you need to do, you can see that it tells you what you have to complete in order to unlock this item by selecting the lock icon. And then as you move down through, you'll see each of the modules. I'm actually going to, let me see, 1 second. Program is lockstep. Each module has to be completed. I'm just making sure I cover everything. Okay, I'm going to click continue on the introduction to safety, and I'm just going to show you how the, let me share this window. Okay, and you can see that it opens in a new pop-up and that the content is configured to automatically play. There is audio, and then you click the next slide to move on to the next screen. I have my audio disabled so that it's not playing over me. So I'm just going to close this window, and then I'm going to go back to my presentation. Okay. Then you can see my button has now changed to continue. This is what indicates that you're in progress for the module. I'll show you, I'll flip over now to another close tab. I'm going to switch back to my user portal, view programs now, and you can see that it redisplays the program. I'm going to actually log out and log in with another user so that you can see how it looks when someone has moved through the program. As I said, I have a number of different accounts. Okay. My instinct is to ask if anyone has questions, but I'm going to wait till the end because I get easily distracted. So now when I'm logged in under this user, if I go to the My Certificates page, you can see that I actually have the SafetyPass certificate. That's because it has been completed. I can go here, I can click Print Certificate. It'll actually open up a PDF, which gives me my completed certificate. The SafetyPass is configured for a 3-year expiration, so it gives you the date of completion as well as the date of expiry. SkillsPass is configured to do the notifications to users when items will be expiring. So 60 days prior to expiration, of course you won't have to worry about this for 3 years, but it will actually start notifying the user and the employer if the user is associated with an employer that the SafetyPass is going to expire 60 days, 30 days, 1 week prior, and that they should redo the certification. If the user starts and completes the SafetyPass program at that time, the notifications will stop. We do not continue to send notifications once it has been completed again, just to be clear. Okay, I'm going to close this tab and return. So the other thing that I want to note is the review completed program here. This is actually how you can return to the SafetyPass learn space and review or redo some modules, as well as see your completed history. So you can see that as I move through items, it gives me an indication of the score. The SafetyPass is configured to require a 100% score on every module. Just to be clear, you have to pass the test in every module in order to move on to the next item. And you can see that I now have review, redo on the items that I have completed. I have continue on workplace law because I have restarted that module, and it will switch to continue when I'm in progress. And now I can go through each of these again if I so desire. Okay, and then I'm just going to, my programs, more details. Okay, so now I'm going to switch back again to my user portal. And the other thing that I want to highlight here is the share certificates option. Again, some people might not or may have an email address for an individual that they want to let them know that they've completed SharePass. Perhaps it's their direct supervisor, perhaps it's the HR department within your company. They can come in here, they can type the email, and they can enter any email to send the information to. And this will send the completion information for the certificates in their training history. Okay, I'm going to switch now to a employer view. Some of the OGCA members, I think a fair number of them actually have employer networks. Any employer that's interested in having an employer network, they can reach out to myself or Catherine Lockhart, who did the introduction at the beginning of the session, and we can discuss further how to get you configured with the employer network. So I'm just going to change to an admin view. The admin view uses what we call the platform application in order to log in. I would like everyone to make a note of how many logins I have to actually remember and then not judge me because I don't know what my password is on this one. Okay. Now, when I log into the platform as an employer, you can see, obviously, my information is quite different. The employer view allows an admin for an employer to manage the users in their employee network. So I'm on the user menu item right now. I have an invite option. So I have a new hire that's starting tomorrow. I can invite him to my employer network, or I can instruct him to log in through the OGCA landing page, and he will have access by putting the company in. He'll go into the employer network. I can also, I have an Add Administrator button. So my company is growing. I'm currently a lone administrator. I want to add an additional administrator. Anyone who's a network admin does have the ability to add other administrators. You can also add someone or upgrade someone who is a member of your existing network to admin very easily by selecting the menu button and then clicking Make Network Admin. Also, if someone has left your company, you no longer feel they should be in your employer listing, then you can select remove employee, remove them from the network. Again, if you do this in error, because mistakes happen, then you can simply go back up to the invite button and re-add them to your network. It's not devastating if this happens as a mistake. When someone is in your network and you want to see their certificates, you click the View Learning Profile, and you get their information for their training history. Again, there is no private information shared here. You do not see their date of birth that they entered. You do not see their address. You know their name. You know their email. They work for you, so I'm pretty sure you know that already. And then you see their training history. You can also view their certificates and print them off if you would like to store them for your company's records. So moving back, I believe I have exhausted all of the options for the user menu. I'm now going to move to the employee certification. This is really the exciting part of the employer network. This gives you the view of all your employees and their current status for their certifications. So you can see I've restricted my view to myself, and you can see that I'm in here with a pass on the SafetyPass as well as forklift training. So forklift training I haven't configured with an expiration, so I don't have to redo that, but I do see the expiration on the SafetyPass, and I will have to redo that in 3 years. The good thing about our system, like I said, we do the email or SMS notifications depending on how the user is configured, but we also do a visual representation here. If I'm coming up for expiration, 60 days prior, my status will turn to yellow, and it will start to indicate that I am expiring soon. If I do not redo my training, it will turn red and say that I am no longer certified for that item. So that is really a key concept for the employer module. Then we also do offer some standard out-of-the-box reports where you can see training activities for your employees. If you want to do a detail level for the 14 modules, you want to see, well, I guess everyone has to get 100, so it's pretty evident what they got on the score. But perhaps when they did the training, how long they took between training items, this is the report that you would use, as well as the member list, which basically gives you the ability to do a full list. I will change the view, and then you can download this list to a CSV. Let's say that you have an opportunity to upload this into your HR management system or some other mechanism, or you just want to have a spreadsheet of the data as well. Then you can download it from here. It gives you your email, again, name, and then your SkillsPass ID and the current status. Anyone who is affiliated with your company at any time will be in this report. When they're removed, there will be an indication that they are no longer active in your employer network, but you will not lose the data for when they were with your company. This is important for situations where later you are asked to verify that someone was trained at a specific date. You can use this report to say that they were there and they were a current member. Okay? All right. I am going to now do a quick demo of the training provider module. The training provider module is what is used to manage classroom-based training, instructor-led training, we like to call it, only because we also offer computer-based training like SkillsPass, so it gets a little confusing if we use classroom-based training. So I'm just going to log in with my primary account. Where am I? And I'm going to move over to my demo network. So in my demo network, as a training provider, I have the interface to manage course offerings. I have in my demo network configured 3 courses, course 2, course 3, and forklift training. When you go to add offering, you select whatever course that you are authorized to teach from the drop-down list, and then you start to enter your information. Location of offering will be auto-populated with the location of your training provider. This I find is useful because it helps people not have to re-enter over and over and over again. You have to enter the contact information for an offering, and then we also have the offering details that are required. We require an instructor. For any training, there is an instructor associated with the class. The instructor has to be identified when you're creating the offering. If your instructors change, it's okay. You can go in and edit the offering later to update the instructor, but when created, it does have to be entered. You enter the number of seats, which if you're using, well, actually it doesn't even matter even if you're using the storefront, but our system will keep track on the number of students. So if you have 25 capacity, as people are registered, it'll indicate to you how many people are registered and how many seats are remaining. Free option is when it goes to the storefront, it does have the ability to identify a price tag. If you set the offering to free, then the price is removed. If you enter a price, then it will show. You can also note the price, but yet not show the price on the storefront. And then publish offering set will show the information for public consumption, or unselected will not publish that to the marketplace storefront. You select the dates for the offering and then save. I've created a couple for example. So I am going to go down to this one. I will show you edit offering. Like I said, you can edit the offering and change the instructor. Oh, because it's passed and I've taken attendance, I just lied. I will flip to my other one to prove that I am not telling fibs. And edit this one. So as you can see, I can select another instructor. Okay, the next key part is really the class record. That's really where the exciting things. Oh, actually, before I go there, I will show the Manage Offerings view, which will give you a summary of the current information. So you can see that my SkillsPass network and the price, instructor, it just gives a little summary here. And then it says I have 25 seats, 2 people are registered, 4 spots are held, 19 available. I can select the reserved seats if I would like to add additional students. And then I also get a summary down here of who is currently registered. If I click the update attendees, if you're doing a booking for an employer as a training provider, you can go in here and you can update the registered users and update the information available for them. So simply go in, move through the seats, and update the information using the very clearly identified instructions as you move through the reservation process. I won't say bore you because I'm sure it's all very interesting, but in the interest of time, I will move back to the class record. Class record is the end result of the class. Once a class is completed, we have 2 pieces of information that are critical for entry. One is the attendance, basically indicating whether participation was done by the individual. Participation doesn't necessarily mean completion or pass of the actual course itself, so we do have that as a separate item with grade. So the attendance item, you can see here my first lorry testing person has attendance marked, but I have no indication of grade, therefore I have no indication of a certificate. However, my example user below, I have a certificate icon. This is because I have not even so much a successful attendance, but the successful grade. The green check mark on the grade indicates successful completion of the course, and then it gives me the icon for the training certificate. And again, down here, you can see that my certificate. This can be configured for a wallet card or full size. I believe I've configured this one for the full size. As I mark individuals' grades, if I had 10 people in this list, I actually will have the ability at the end of the class to select the download all available certificates and do a full listing of everyone in the class, which will allow me, if people want a printed card for their wallet, because people do like to have those, you can actually use this option to print all certificates for everyone in the class. We also give the ability to generate a class roster prior to class starting, and then that'll give you the sign-in sheet that you would use for your class. This gives you their surname, given name, employer, if applicable, and then allows them to do their signature and date, and a print option for this as well. Okay, right. I believe, there's a number of things that you can do within the training provider module, but I think that does give a high-level view of it. I'm actually going to switch over to the chat window now and see if there are any questions. Okay. All right. I'm just going to scroll up. Okay. If an employee forgets to share their credentials with an employer, can they go back and change this after? The employee will not, because you've already created your account, you won't be able to re-register on the page, but your employer, like I showed with the invite option, can add anyone at a later date as long as you're in the system. I can also, from a support perspective, help with that as well if it should so happen. Can one load their training certificates from other resources? That's a great question, Jennifer. We do have the capacity to enter in any course and training records. Of course, if that training is offered by an external training provider that has not provided us their information directly, then we typically put those up as an external provided certificate, and they are issued with a certificate with employer certified on the certificate. It is not a valid certificate, what's the word? Say it, Catherine. I can hear.
Sure. Thank you, Laura. It's a really great question, and I'll just help you out a little bit, Laura, on this one. See, what SkillsPass does, though, is we really go to the source of training. So we really need to power those safety instructors to put the certificates in directly. And as Lori mentioned, so we work very closely with training providers, even unions, to have them input that training directly. And if you have a trainer in-house, they are going to be able to put that training in directly. If you have historical records that you have done that training yourself, we look to upload those for you so you have sort of a complete view, or profile view, so your workers can have, if they did confined space entry last month and then they're going to do lockout, tagout next month, then both of those records would appear on SkillsPass, of course, along with their new SafetyPass. And if employers are really looking to upload certificates, we need to be careful about that because we're a little bit nerdy about data and validity of the safety records and everything in SkillsPass, because we want to make sure that the database is the one, someone else described it as this, it's the source of truth for safety training records. So we don't want the burden to be on the workers, we don't want the burden to be on the employers to be uploading certificates and we don't have no control over if someone was going to go white out the expiry date, change that, and then upload it into the system. We don't want that happening. So as Lori said, if there is a need to do that, we'd prefer not to. However, we're certainly open to that conversation and can probably do that on a one-off basis. But it will be identified as employer. Is it employer verified?
Employer issued. Employer issued.
There we go. It'll say employer issued. It will look a little bit different, be presented differently in the SkillsPass database. So if an employer looks at it, they'll know they took the SafetyPass, they're good. They took confined space entry and lockout tagout from Majors McGuire, who uses SkillsPass. But this other one, they took a forklift operating certificate. It was employer issued. I don't actually recognize the training provider who did it, so I'm a little unsure if I'm going to accept that or not. And that's always the employer's call. Like, our job is to track the records, but as employers and contractors, the liability is still on your shoulders, as you know. So you can always still make the call, okay, I don't know that training provider. I still want them to redo a certification. Hopefully the need for that to happen will will sort of reduce itself going forward. But, of course, that's still your decision at the end of the day. I hope that answered that question.
Thank you, Catherine. The next question from Jennifer, are different languages available? The SkillsPass portal is only available currently in English. However, that will change soon. The SkillsPass platform is translated in a number of languages, English, French, Arabic. We have a number of clients outside of OGCA, so that's the reason. However, the platform language will change. The content for OGCA SafetyPass will remain in English. I don't know if there's any future thought for translation, but I'll let David answer that.
We'll do a review after a year and take a look at it and see what other requirements may be, so that could be considered at that time.
The next question, thank you, David. The next question from Tracy, the Working at Heights module, David stated, gives the worker the tools to be compliant on a job site. No. Does this module replace the in-class Working at Heights program?
No, to be clear, it doesn't. It provides awareness and makes you aware of if you need to take the training. It does not provide either the online or classroom training. That is a separate course that you're going to have to take.
Thank you. Kevin asks, how would SkillsPass give the most value to a company in regards to subcontractors? So if you have an employer to invite literally anyone into your network for you to self-manage to view their information. Also, as I showed, the SkillsPass QR code will give you access by scanning to anyone's training record history. So it's more about getting the users familiar with SkillsPass, getting them familiar with the QR code concept so that they can share that information with others.
If I could add
to expand on that. Oh, go ahead, David. Sorry.
Who wants to go first, David?
David's a pro. Go for it, David.
Well, the intention is to spread this out to the industry. This was largely developed by general contractors, but the view was, first, they want to get it out to their employees, but they are training and providing training to subcontractors on an ongoing basis. So this is a tool that they can use to provide to subcontractors and perhaps in the future even require any worker coming on their site to have the SkillsPass in order to make sure that there is an acceptable knowledge level before they come in and before they take site-specific training.
Mm-hmm. Catherine?
Go, David. That's awesome. Yes, just one more point. It's really important. Thank you so much, everyone, for these questions. This is really helpful for us to hear your questions, and I just want to let everyone know this is what drives our product development. So we've spoken with a number of employers and contractors, and we hear that there's a lot of it's really tough to have that line of sight to safety training records, especially within your subs. You may have a solution that works for you and your teams or your employees, but having that confident line of sight to real-time training, so is this up to date, is this valid, where did it come from, having that confidence is really tough is what we're hearing. So, and the other reality that we've learned, and Lori, I'm sure if we were in the same room might be glaring at me, but you guys are helping drive product change, because I know our product doesn't do this yet, but we're working on this right now, where employers, contractors, the actual workers, when they set up their unique ID in SkillsPass, we're going to ask them for permission to share their records on their behalf. So let's say as a contractor, you have 20 folks and you're going to send those 20 folks to a larger work site. You will in the future, it's not ready today, but you will be able to bulk share that information to, maybe it's a prime, maybe it's a contractor that you're doing a 6-week job for. You'll be able to say, here's my 20 guys and girls, click, here's the button. All of those records have been automatically sent to the folks who need them in advance, if you will. And the same goes for if you're a prime, if you're a larger employer. You can say, by June of 2019, I'm only going to be accepting, to David's point, I'm only going to be accepting safety training records via SkillsPass. So if you work with 10 subs on a specific site, they will be able to bulk share those workers' safety certs rolled up to you into one dashboard. So you can have that safety oversight, that view of who's got training on my site, what do I need to worry about? And hopefully it's not training because you know what training everyone has and doesn't have. Hopefully it's just about actually working safely. So we want to take that off your mind, make it easy to focus on the work itself rather than worrying about wallet cards. But that's something that we've learned from conversations with you folks, with your colleagues and competitors and friends in the industry. So we really, really appreciate these questions.
And no dirty looks would be done, Catherine. Just make a note of that.
But
what I will expand then, because part of the bulk share is also for the ability to, once that job is over, for that contractor to unshare those records so they are no longer in the employer list, just so that the information is only available during the lifetime of that project. That was another key point that was raised. Okay, Kevin, next question. Can workers store other training in SkillsPass? So at this time, similar to Catherine's statement, at this time, no. However, there is future plans to, similarly to employers' ability to upload certificates, to also allow workers to upload certificates. And for us, it's key to both visually and electronically identify these differently. Training providers, in our opinion, for the ones that are really good, which I haven't met any that aren't yet, but I've heard some stories, that they are our key resource for the source of truth, as Catherine mentioned. So that would be where we would want to get the majority of our information, but employers do in-house training, site specifics, so we do want to give you the ability. And there's also, workers do like to have a comprehensive list of their training, so I can also see, and we also see the need for them to be able to upload that information as well. Jennifer asks, do you have a list of authorized providers? So providers are actually authorized, I believe, through MOL. We don't authorize providers. We are doing our best to establish relationships with those authorized providers. Catherine, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Sure, and I might ask Jennifer if there's, if you even might be able to expand on the question, because MOL certainly authorizes different providers to teach Working in Heights and Joint Health and Safety Committee, as I'm sure folks on the phone know, and they certainly have a list of those approved providers and on their website for sure. If you're maybe asking about the SafetyPass, and I'm sorry, just reading between the lines, Jennifer, a little bit to help round that out. You can go straight to the OGCA website, log in, and that is your authorized source for sure to take the SafetyPass. So if there's maybe a follow-up question, I just want to make sure we're answering that correctly for you, Jennifer. But I do know that if you Google MOL approved training, you will get a list, a great big fantastic list from MOL with those authorized individuals. And then I'll take the next one, Lori. Jackie has asked, perfect. Jackie asks, going forward, who directs the unions to upload the certificates? So this is a great question. We're actually in conversations with some of the unions right now, and we hope to be in more conversations with more unions as they do a lot of training today, for sure. I think getting unions on board may take a little more time than some of the training providers who are actually quite keen and very excited, but we're certainly working on that. If you have any folks on the line who have relationships with the unions and want to help, support those conversations or even introduce us to the unions that you rely on for your workforce, please feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to do that work. So as you think about, like, if you're a contractor and you actually use 2 third-party training to train your internal folks, then please feel free to make those introductions to us, and we actually go out and do the heavy lifting and introduce those folks to SkillsPass and get them on so that training data rolls up to you. And then as well, let's say, 75% of your workforce is supplied by 2 different unions, then please feel free to reach out to us and say, can you guys talk to the SkillsPass team? Ideally, we'd love to see the training records in a SkillsPass report, which means we need it to be entered directly into SkillsPass from the source, which in many cases, as has been indicated, comes from the training within union halls or third-party trainers. So we want to direct our energy to help you get to 100% of that training oversight quickly. So if you make those introductions to us, we'll direct our energy there instead of elsewhere in the market knocking on doors cold. That's always a little tougher. So if you're comfortable making those introductions, we go do that heavy lifting for you, and hopefully we'll get the majority of the province onto one system, and then everyone's going to benefit for this. It's very much a win-win-win to have these safety training records under one roof.
Excellent. Thank you, Catherine. So that is the end of our presentation. If anyone has any last-minute questions that they'd like to type in quickly, I'd be happy to address them before we get off the call. Okay. We would love for them to buy into this management system, Jennifer. We totally agree. Mm-hmm.
IHSA, oh yes, I see the question there too. Yes, perfect. We will do our best. And if you have any special contacts, sorry, go ahead.
IHSA. Yes, if you have any special contacts, feel free to share them, Jennifer. Kevin, you asked, are any other provinces doing this? Actually, I don't have much of an accent left, but we're actually a Newfoundland-based company. We started in Newfoundland working with Workplace NL, which is the regulating body for training standards in Newfoundland. They actually use our system for all of their training registry. So we're actually not newbies to this. We have tried and true on this platform using this system for training providers, employers, employees to have a training management system. So, we know the business. Not all aspects, perhaps, but a lot of it.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yes, slowly but surely. Lisa, what is the contact information if we would like to set up an employer network? You can contact myself. I'm not sure if I put Catherine on the CC or I hit her in the blind carbon copy. You can reach out to me, Lori Boone. If you don't have my email, you can reach out to Lindsay. She'll know how to get in touch with me, or David. Sorry, David. I'm sure you could forward them as well. And
don't go to me.
So I'm happy to talk to anyone, bringing Catherine into the conversation for any employer networks.
And I just put our email addresses right in the chat box there, just in case for anyone to grab. Yeah.
Catherine, you are so smart, honestly. Jennifer, Jennifer is continuing to type in training providers. Excellent. So we will make a note of those. I will keep a list of the questions asked, and Jennifer will be sure either to be in touch for direct contacts, or we will find information for them. Oh, Kevin, you are very welcome for answering your questions. Thank you for asking them. They were all great questions. Thank you, everyone, for the interest, the participation. Thank you for your attendance today. I know everyone likes to take a break for an hour, and hopefully you found this beneficial and interesting, and we're really looking forward to your participation in SafetyPass. David?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for doing this with us today. As you can see, the advantage you've got with SafetyPass combined with SkillsPass is you've got outstanding updated material, but delivered on a new modern platform that is both excellent for the training and for the communication of the training. So it's an outstanding package. As you had heard, they spent years in Newfoundland getting all the kinks out, so we can get a perfect AR right off the top.
That's right.
And that's what's going to happen. So it's a great partnership. Thank you very much for being here and everything you've done. And the one thing we haven't emphasized that I just wanted to write at the end is, and all of this is free. Right?
Yep.
I think that's great. You pay big bucks for this normally. But we said our priority at OGCA is to get this out to everybody who could use it. We're not charging for this, at least at this time we're not charging. And SkillsPass said, well, we're into, if you're not going to charge, we're not going to charge. So for the time being, you get all this technology, you get all this material, and it's free. So go ahead and use it.
Take advantage.
Take advantage of it.
Share with your friends.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And just one thought, Lori has actually recorded this session, so we'll be sending that out just in case you want to revisit it. And please feel free, David and Lori, I don't know if you've chatted about this, we are certainly able to set up another public demo should there be the request for that. We're here to support the adoption of this, so if you have a whole team of people and you want a specific demo with the team, please reach out to, David and Lori or Lindsay and just let us know how you're making out with the adoption of SafetyPass. We're here to support that. It's a new course. We know it's online. That's not always easy for everybody. But keep in touch with us. I mean, this is technology, but the people are the ones that are going to get you through it. So please don't hesitate to reach out, as we roll this out across Ontario.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, David. And like I said, thank you, everyone, for attending. Have a great day.